my secret, just do something that ain't nobody ever done before, but make it sound like something that's always been there forever.
Hello, welcome to This Filipino American Life, a podcast that explores the nuanced experiences of Filipinos in the United States at iba pa. My name is Joe Bernardo, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts,
Ryan Carpio,
Elaine Dolores,
and Mike.
Pew 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 pew. Producer Mike.
Welcome to TFAL, another edition.
Yeah.
And today,
new edition.
That's
Bobby Brown. If it isn't love, why do I feel this way? Why does she stay on my mind?
Yeah, these are for all the people who enjoy it when we sing on the podcast.
And if you're too young to remember New Edition, remember the BET miniseries that I was glued to. I was glued to the TV watching it.
It was a really good
It was
series.
awesome.
Yes.
And it's funny because Johnny Gill looked like a poor man's Chris Webber.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And then Ricky Bell looked like Sammy Davis Jr. And Ralph Tresvant looked like Ralph Tresvant.
Probably played by Ralph Tresvant because he's ageless. Just kidding. I don't know.
Because he has sensitivity.
So who's our T-Pal of the month, of the episode?
Of the episode, it is the lovely and awesome Raisa Diamante.
Yay, Raisa.
Diamante.
Diamante. That's right.
What does that mean? Diamond?
Diamond. I froze there for a second. Yeah, Raisa Diamond.
Raisa,
diamond.
you're a diamond to us at TFAL.
You are a diamond girl.
Diamond girl.
Ooh, girl, diamond girl.
Mike is rolling his eyes at us.
So today we will be discussing Filipino martial arts.
What's that?
What?
What's that?
Filipino martial arts, aka Collyer, Eskrima, Arnis.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of that before?
Yes.
Yes. So if you see Filipinos who are fighting and combating with their sticks, sticks with some sticks,
With a stick?
bamboo
Their
sticks.
stick?
Usually it's Collyer, Eskrima, or martial art or Arnis. AKA Filipino Martial Arts. So, where have you learned about Filipino martial arts? Anybody? Where did you learn it?
I think my dad would talk about it, and then when my Lola and my aunties would go to the Philippines, one year I requested Eskrima sticks.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, because I wanted them and I didn't know where to buy them, and Tatak Filipino didn't have them. So I went, and because my aunt was going, I was like, "Can you just buy those?" And she did. She bought a bunch of them. I guess a lot of people had asked that year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How about you, Rai?
I learned about it through my older brothers in the Philippines, who actually, as part of the curriculum, did Arnis like during PE or something. I remember them bringing home sticks, and they were like practicing kind of like the formations. It's like this like 1, 2, 3 kind of formation, and
1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, what was
contact.
it?
Oh wait, that's 3, 2, 1. Contact. And that's how I learned about it. But I didn't even think about that as a. I mean, when I think of martial arts, it's not necessarily what I think about right away.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back, I do remember Arnis as something that they did at school. So it was kind of interesting. So my brothers did that. I never learned it. I was too young, and then I came here and forgot about it. And not until maybe recently, maybe in the last, I don't know, half a dozen years, did I start learning more about it as something that people actually took classes on here in the States. And I learned the different terms of it, but I always knew it as Arnis. I never knew what Eskrima was until probably about 6-7 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah. Or Cali. I didn't even know what Cali was.
California.
Cali.
California.
Producer Mike?
I actually don't even think I I mean, other than seeing, I guess, Ernie Reyes Jr. and things, not really. I don't think I realized it was a Filipino martial art until I think people started rocking those shirts in the 90s that had like the fighting Filipino thing.
Oh,
yeah.
the one like
Yeah.
walang
Yeah.
takot, like
The one from
no
Hawaii.
fear.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have those muscular guys in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, people would talk
Sure.
about like butterfly knives being like a Filipino thing or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really aware of it until like maybe even into college and like just people having like the sticks or like just talking about it and like how it was something you could learn. Because I mean, like when I was a kid, I did Taekwondo, but I mean, and I think my master. Ugh. When I took Taekwondo, I think he might have been Filipino, but I mean,
Your
he was
teacher?
yeah, I guess my teacher, but he was teaching Taekwondo, not like a Filipino thing. So I don't think or maybe it was when I got into like Bruce Lee movies and realized that there was a Filipino guy involved in some of those. So I don't know. I don't think I really became fully aware of it until like way later in life, because it wasn't really like a thing in Oxnard.
Yeah.
where
Was
I'm
it a
from,
thing in
so-
college?
Yeah, like the whole like rediscovering Filipino American identity is part of that. I think.
Now that I
maybe.
think about it, I do remember Eskrima being a college thing, and I was like, oh, that looks like Arnis, and then I just didn't think about it any longer. But there were some classes in school where I was that did Eskrima, but I didn't take it or anything. But
I
Yeah.
can't. I don't think Irvine did. Irvine?
I feel like they.
No,
I feel like I
think
remember
so.
one of my classmates was like, "Oh, I'm taking Eskrima classes." So, anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No.
What about you, Joe?
So I first learned about it when I was in, I think, like 6th grade or something.
Dang.
And then
Joe, always ahead of the game.
Right?
it's not even no, because you know about karate because Karate Kid and like the stuff that we grew up in.
leg, John. Put him in a body bag.
And then like you have classmates who would like learn, and I remember my friend like growing up, he was Korean, and he knew Taekwondo because his dad taught it to him.
Oh.
And I didn't, I was like, oh, we don't have any in the Philippines. And then one time I attended Simbang Gabi. I think it was, Simbang Gabi. It was in 6th grade. And then they did like a whole Arnis demonstration.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
And I was like,
Who did it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I know the thing is I knew the person like later on in life who did it, but I don't know what school she was from or, I don't know. But, they announced it. They said, "Oh, this is our Filipino martial arts," and I was like, "Whoa, what?
There's one.
Yeah, we have one.
Yeah, that's cool.
You're like, I would have learned that.
Yeah, and the thing is, my parents knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
They didn't we didn't come from a lineage that like was taught it,
Right.
and then I thought, oh wow, that's really cool. And then one time I bought a book, and it's called like Arnis. It was by Ernie Presas or something like that. And then I kind of just read it and tried to like learn it by myself, but I had no idea what I was doing. And so, I didn't really touch it until later in life.
Do you take classes now?
So I do. I've been taking classes on and off since after college. I took it in San Francisco. I took it again, like a few classes here in LA, and then it didn't really stick. Like I wasn't like super committed to it.
Stick.
Sorry. I wasn't really committed to it until a couple years ago. I started working at a college, and then they offer it as like a worker wellness class through
That's so
HR.
cool.
And I've been doing it like since I started there, so a couple of years. And she is actually my teacher is a student of Guru Dan Inosanto.
Oh.
And she teaches it. Shout out to Mauricia if she listens to me, to us. And it's stuck, and it's. I don't say like I'm like a newborn or born again martial artist, but I could say like I'm really into it now, and I was kind of surprised, like I didn't think I would be earlier in life.
So like I've never taken a martial arts class in my life. Like I don't know if you guys have, Elaine.
I have not.
Mike,
Mike took Taekwondo.
Yeah, I was like 13, I think.
Yeah.
How long
And
did
then-
you do it for?
Like a year, and then I was just like tired of it. And then I think I faked being like sick or something, and it's like I don't want to go anymore. And then like it was just like, well, and also at the time I was also taking piano lessons and tennis lessons and other suburban bullshit.
Wow.
So I was like,
Tennis lessons.
yeah. And so I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I basically just like fake sicked my way out of it and just stopped. So
Nice.
A lot of my friends were taking like taekwondo or kenpo growing up. I just never did. I always thought it was like physically like draining because some of the things that they had to do, like working out, like as a kid, you know, like maybe 10 years old,
Doing backflips and stuff.
or like doing push-ups on your knuckles kind of thing. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Man, what's going on here? You know.
oh, I remember that.
So
You had to
You had to
do
do that?
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
do that.
Why?
Yeah.
Callus up your knuckles for like, you know.
So you
for
do
hitting
push-ups?
boards.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I also hit it at boards when I was seeing taekwondo. So.
What?
Wow.
Did you break a board?
Well, yeah. You have to.
You have to in order to
What?
get your next belt, right?
Yeah, that's a part of the whole like.
Oh my god. I'm so impressed right now.
You really shouldn't be.
Elena's looking at Mike with her googly eyes.
Like, wow.
12, 13-year-old Mike breaking like crappy boards.
So did you walk around school? You're like, yeah, nobody can fuck with me.
Kick your ass. if
Wearing
your
my
face
angry
is a-
pajamas.
Boards don't hit back.
Where's that from? Karate Kid. Is it?
Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi.
Just kidding. I knew where it was from. Just checking.
Come on, we're in the valley. It's like the all valley karate tournament.
Yeah.
In Reseda.
In Reseda.
But like Joe, you've taken like Arnis or Cali or Eskrima, whatever you choose to call it. Is it kind of, what is the physical kind of like expectation of you to, you know, I imagine it's a little bit different than, of course, Taekwondo because you have weapons, right?
Mhm.
Or like sticks. So, I mean, is it pretty physical? Is it, you know, do you
So
spar or?
the one I do at school or my work, it's low intensity in terms of the training because a lot of us are still in our work clothes.
Yeah.
But the other classes I've been to, I've trained a little bit in Eskrima Sarada when I was living in San Francisco, and you know, you do a little bit of calisthenics in the beginning.
To warm up.
To warm up, you run, or if it's raining outside, you do like jumping jacks and you do push-ups and sit-ups and stretches and stuff like that. And then you kind of get into kind of the more repetitious forms and stuff like that. And then you learn, and then afterwards you kind of learn a new move or learn a new skill.
That's cool.
And then it's all about repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Because like so, yeah. And so the physical aspect, it's not super draining because it's only like an hour and a half class usually. It's not like you're playing a game of basketball where you don't sweat that much. But yeah, depending on your teacher and your instructor, it could get that intense.
Okay.
But it's for me, it hasn't, like, I've never been to a school where you had to do push-ups on your knuckles. I mean, you might try to do push-ups and clap
That
in
sounds
between,
painful.
I've never done the knuckles one.
Trying to push up on the table.
And the thing is, like, I'm by far like not an expert. I really only done it consistently in the past 2 years.
Mike, do a push up on your knuckles.
No.
But yeah, it's more than the physicality that I'm actually. It's not just the exercise why I do it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. Because if I was gonna do a martial arts, I'd probably do something a little less intensity and with
Tai
sticks.
Chi.
Tai Chi.
Or Tai Chi would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, Tai Chi is a martial art.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Okay. Interesting.
Like smooth like water.
Line dancing.
So in your class, how many people actually do it?
Maybe consistently, maybe only 5.
Oh, okay.
But when you have a big group, it might be at the most 10.
Are you in like a rec room?
Yeah, we're actually in the classroom.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just moved the tables and chairs.
Tables and
Yeah, and we
I
do it
want to
there.
get some stick. Can you just get any stick?
Yeah, you go to a martial arts store.
Okay.
And buy some stick.
You can go outside and get a switch from a tree, whittle it down.
Well, it's kind of cool. Like, I think I saw on YouTube like a video of how to make the stick.
Uh-huh.
You can't really do it like here with like the tools,
Yeah.
unless you have all these crazy tools. But you know, you gotta get the stick, you gotta straighten it, and then you gotta put lacquer on it, and then you kind of burn like certain things to make
keep
look,
it.
yeah, to get a little bit tested. And
Right, and that's your project for the
I
winter.
know, right? I'm like, you see me making my own sticks,
Like, what are you
doing
doing?
a
right?
time lapse video. I was like, oh,
I know it's kind of weird. It's like I really got into it over the past year because of the Trump administration.
oh, really? Like as a stress relief, or like I want to beat his
just
head
as
in?
like
Right.
as just like self defense.
That makes sense.
Like
Like if Trump ever came at you.
because like I'm
yeah, you're
not.
worried. Like,
I'm
you're a
worried somebody
person
might
of
attack
color.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So you just got to know at least the basic things
Yeah.
to defend yourself.
No.
I mean, the best defense is to walk away,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
it's not involve
I mean, I'm
yourself
not
there,
gonna
but-
lie.
we don't condone violence.
We don't condone
No.
violence, but when that administration took over, like I went to the gun range with my dad.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I need to remember how to do these things.
Yeah.
So like it, yeah, you just do those things.
Yeah. And it's also just in general, it's very therapeutic, and it also
Smash.
it also reminds me of the time when I like did like PCN practices and did all the dances because it's
There's a
Shut up,
repetition.
dude.
in it.
Wait,
Can't
Hey.
take the PCN out of Joe.
Shut up.
No, I'm like, I enjoy that. That's cool.
Did you do PCN, Ryan?
I did.
See,
I did.
you understand.
So
No,
you
I
know,
get-
like when you're learning a dance, you're learning moves, and
Yeah.
you're training the muscle to remember your muscle memory.
Yeah.
And then that's what a lot of it is. It's repetition. And,
Yeah.
once you get the repetition, I don't say it becomes easier, but like,
But then you know what to do.
yeah. And you're kind of like proud of yourself. Like, whoa, I kind of like,
Yeah.
I could do this automatically now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of cool like that.
I want to learn that.
Yeah.
I imagine there are competitions too, right? Like,
Yeah, I've never done that.
Okay.
Yeah, there are tournaments out there, and they dress up in this crazy armor. I don't know if you've seen him.
No.
Yeah, you just go on YouTube. You see like Arnis fights or something. Kali
You should totally
tournaments.
do it, Joe, and we'll cheer you on.
No,
We'll be your
I'll
cheering
totally get
squad.
my ass kicked. Yeah, I suck at that stuff.
Mike can break some boards and we'll cheer him.
Oh, did you ever do it like train in a tournament or anything like that?
No, we had to do. So as part of the program, they would do like, I don't want to call it a meet, not like Karate Kid style, but like they would bring like, a
almost
bunch
like
of different schools together, and we had to do
Yeah.
like a demo
Yeah.
thing for all the parents and stuff.
like in piano terms, it's like a recital.
Yeah,
Recital.
kind of.
Yeah.
But it was like a bunch of kids, and we had.
Are there pictures?
Yeah, probably.
Where are they?
At my parents' house.
We should
So
find
like
those.
it was funny because like they had us do like a skit.
What?
Like so, me and like some of my other like
Sweep the leg.
fellow like I think it was like I was supposed to be like this kid getting like picked on, and then all of a sudden like I bust out some stuff. And, like
This is like Karate Kid.
Wait, so,
I hope there's not a video. I don't think there's a video, but there's definitely pictures of it. But,
so like your skit was like, hey, we're picking on you, and then you're like, stop, and then you're like, punch.
yeah, I think like I'm just trying to walk away, and then they attack me, and then I block them or something. This is like 12, 13-year-old me, and so like and then like somehow or another I cause them to like fall into the ground, and then like I step on them or something.
I want to see this video.
I don't think there's a video. I hopefully my
I
parents have a
want to
video.
see these pictures.
Oh my god, you just skit.
Mike just goes into this crane formation.
I am totally gonna try and find these pictures when we go to Oxnard next.
God,
I'm gonna
okay.
ask your mom.
Great.
So when I was a coordinator of PCN,
Oh, do tell.
I was a PCN coordinator 1 year. And,
1 year, sure.
And we did we did like the skit, and a scene in the skit was a Kali fight.
No way.
So like the scene was a Japanese or sorry, Filipino in the Navy coming to like a bar, and he gets harassed by these American guys, and they're like they went up to him. They goes, "Hey, a Jap killed my friend in during the war," and then the Filipino guy goes up and he goes, "I am not Japanese. I am Filipino." And then suddenly, like the music from the Matrix comes on, dun, 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 dun,
And then
dun,
they
dun, dun,
fight?
and then they break the tables and get the table legs and use Kali, and they fight with each other.
Oh my God, Joe.
Yeah, so
Is this
Whose
from a movie?
idea was this
Yes, this is from, like, a
skit?
it
movie.
was not necessary. It wasn't. I didn't write the skit, but my friends wrote it, and then they, I guess this one some of the dudes who are actually picked to be the actors, they coordinated the stunts, the fights, and stuff like that.
Oh,
the fighting
wow.
scene.
Is there
So-
video of this?
There is a video of it,
Oh my God.
but it's on VHS.
That's okay.
BHS.
It's not on YouTube somewhere? Are you sure?
No.
Because like in Irvine around PCN season, like there's a video that will go around. It's from the 8-hour PCN from Irvine in 1998. It comes around.
Oh, the
every
1998
year.
version.
No, well, that PCN is notorious because it was like 8 hours long, and the video that makes the rounds is the choir like singing the original song. So I'm like, are you sure it's not on YouTube? This UC Santa Barbara Collie Stick video.
No, it's not.
Someone should put it on if you guys.
I guess I should, but I need to borrow your thing, Mike, where you convert VHS to digital.
Or we could just reenact it.
Oh my God! If we reenact it, that'd be awesome.
So, anyways, I've really got into Filipino martial arts. I want to practice it more and kind of get better at my skills. Would you ever train in it?
I probably would. I think it'd just be interesting just to know something. I've never done it, so I've never done any kind of martial arts. It'd be kind of nice to know.
I've actually wanted to because like our friend like Kat does Magda, or I think she used to, but if Magda is on ClassPass, I would go. So we're so terrible.
Magda Institute is a martial arts studio in Reseda.
And I specialize in Filipino martial arts.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it is also like a financial part to it, right? Like
Yeah, you
of
got to pay
anything.
classes.
So, like,
it's like going to any kind of
exactly
classes.
like boxing gym or
Yeah.
whatnot. So like if it was on ClassPass, if it is, like I would totally train.
Yeah. How about you, Mike?
Mike, would you train
Mike
in
is
martial
not paying
arts?
attention.
Would you train martial arts?
No,
Why not?
I don't like to sweat. I don't like the smell of like people's feet. I don't like.
Mike doesn't like sticks on him.
There's not too much kicking in Filipino martial arts, but still.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've thought about it, and like actually, I have a lot of friends over the years recently that are part of some studio or what do you call them now?
Schools?
School. I guess I was gonna say dojo. There's no fear in this dojo.
I love how we keep quoting Karate Kid.
But no, I don't know. I don't see it, fitting in. I think the most interesting thing I saw was maybe at like a Lotus Festival, which is a festival that happens here in Los Angeles. And I think it was like the Filipino year they were featuring. And some of our friends were doing those like disarming people of weapons things. Like, oh, that looks interesting. And then I realized, yeah, maybe that's not the best thing to necessarily learn. That's not really martial arts per se, but
Yeah. Well, that's a big aspect of Filipino martial arts is disarming.
Yeah.
I don't know about disarming guns and stuff
Joe
like
is so
that, but-
disarming. Sorry.
What?
Sorry. Keep going.
So yeah, coming up next, we are going to talk to a teacher, a trainer in Filipino martial arts, Mike Makabenta. He's from the Magda Institute. And he will talk to us more about the history of Filipino martial arts, what it is, and kind of how it's kind of ingrained in popular culture now, and what the status is of Filipino martial arts today here in the United States.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey Ryan, do you have any extra dollars? I'm hungry actually. Right now.
I don't have any extra dollars for you, Joe.
What are you going to use it then for?
I'm thinking of giving my extra dollars to TFAL's Patreon account.
Wait, TFAL has a Patreon account?
Yeah,
Patreon.com/TFL podcast.
that's right. Patreon.com/TFAL podcast. If you want to help TFAL continue its great quality work, you can contribute some money to us monthly. Go to patreon.com/TFAL podcast and you can give your extra dollars to us.
Hey Joe, how much does your internet cost?
Hey,
A lot.
I don't know. That's girly.
Hey Mike, how much does this equipment cost?
a lot.
Hey Ryan, how much does your brain cost?
That's all I have. As you can see, we spend money to produce this free programming to you, and we could use your help. So find us on patreon.com/TFAL podcast and see if you can help us out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Yay!
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thanks for that break. Whew.
Oh yeah.
I got to go to the bathroom. Mike took a smoke break.
I went bathroom too.
Elaine went number 2.
Oh, it took a while.
We are
weird.
back, and now we are joined by a good friend, semi-related, kind of, Mike Makabenta.
Yay!
Sifu Mike of Magda Institute of Martial Arts.
Cool.
Yes. And he's going to join us, and he's going to talk about his experience and kind of the history of Filipino martial arts. So, yeah, welcome, Mike.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Cool. So, yeah, you are, what would you say? You're like a grandmaster or something? Of
Not even.
Not even? Okay. How did you get into Filipino martial arts?
Well, just like probably most of us here, I grew up watching, martial arts movies, black belt theater on Saturdays, that kind of thing. And I took some martial arts as a kid, karate and hapkido, never really stuck with it. That was when I was like a little kid, junior high age. By the time I was in high school, and it's funny because it's a typical Filipino thing. I was playing pickup basketball games over at Chatsworth High. They would have pickup games every Tuesday and Thursday night. It was open gym. And there was a couple older guys there. And when I mean older, if I was in high school, they were probably like in their 30s.
That's not old.
I know, that's not old. I mean, I'm way older than them now. But at the time, they were older guys.
You just go cold out.
But they were wearing like those sweatpants with like the Filipino martial arts logos on them.
Oh, cool.
So I would ask them, I go, hey, what is that? And they were like, oh, Mike, we train in Filipino martial arts. You should come down and try it out, that kind of thing. And I knew at the time, I was like, I'm in high school. I'm not going to be able to afford that. But that was like kind of my first exposure. Like I didn't know there was Filipino martial arts, actually, as a kid. I always, I knew karate and kung fu, that kind of thing, but didn't know that, our culture had its own martial art, so to say. So, but I didn't join it at the time. And then, you kind of fast forward, through the 90s, I started off at Pierce College, and I met this guy, Eric Flores. I don't know if you guys know Eric Flores. He was training in martial arts, and I met him through basketball, and he had those same sweats. And I was like, hey, man, you're like the second person I've met in the last 5 years that have had those sweats on. And he's like, hey, I train at this place. Come down, check it out. Never went. And then we fast forward again, maybe another 5 years, I'm working, and I met this guy who also had a similar shirt on, Filipino guy. He was an IT guy. His name's Arnie Moran. He's an instructor. And I was like, hey, I've seen that logo. And so finally,
It's a sign. The
it was a
universe is
sign. It was
What's this
definitely-
underground
Yeah.
cult?
So that kind of drew me to it. And then when I did a little bit of research, I think I got a hold of like a brochure from Magda, and they're a lineage Jeet Kune Do school for Bruce Lee. So I was more interested in that, actually. I was like, Filipino martial arts is cool, but it'd be cool to learn Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, everyone can identify with Bruce Lee. So I joined wanting to learn actually Jeet Kune Do. And then I went once I started learning Filipino martial arts, that's kind of what I really got into.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And now you stuck with it, and now you're teaching it.
Yeah, I stuck with it, and I'm one of the instructors there.
Nice.
What's a common Filipino martial arts? I mean, you mentioned a little bit about like kung fu and karate. So karate is from like Japan, right?
Right.
Kung fu is Chinese. What's a more common Filipino martial arts that the people may not know about, or? Yeah.
Well, the most common is Collyer, Eskrima, or Arnis. That's the one that you'll identify. Most people can identify, at least now, when they see a guy with two sticks on TV fighting, they'll go, oh, that's a Filipino martial art now. But going back to maybe the 60s and 70s, it was really underground. No one really knew what it was at the time.
So, yeah, I've heard like Collyer, Arnis, Eskrima. Is there a difference between them? Or is this like all one? Or
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't a difference. It kind of goes like this. So in the Philippines, people from Luzon identify Filipino martial arts as Arnis, Arnis de Mano, right? My parents, they didn't know what Filipino martial arts was when I told them I was training. But they're like, oh yeah, but I remember Arnis. And they also actually taught Arnis in the school system in the Philippines. I think it was Remy Presas that introduced that. He was kind of the guy that brought and popularized Filipino martial arts in the Philippines at the time. So there was that. People knew that Filipino martial arts is Arnis. And then if you go to the Visayas region, they identify it as Eskrima. Okay. So it kind of, it's separated, because of regions. So there's Eskrima. And then if you move over to the United States, there's Collie. And Collie is kind of a debated term. Some say it was a made-up term. And there's a lot of material on whether or not it's a term.
A lot of theory.
It's like
It's
a theory. That could be a whole other hour on Collie, where that came from.
Yeah.
But it was popularized by Dan Inosanto.
Okay.
He used the term Collie, and from my understanding, one of his instructors, I think it was Floro Vibro, who's also a Visayan escrimador. He's the one who said, from now on we should use Collie. And then he used Collie, and because of his popularity, a lot of other groups started using Collie in America. And so Collie's identified as an American term for Filipino martial arts. So if you ask someone in the Philippines, I train in Collie,
They're like, no.
yeah, they're like, what's that? What is Kali? Yeah, so,
Going back to Kali.
yeah, exactly. Sorry, couldn't help myself.
I knew you were
myself. It was
gonna
in my
say
brain.
I knew it.
so Dan Inosanto, he's Guru Dan. He founded Inosanto Martial Arts, right? And he's one of Bruce Lee's best friends, correct?
Right.
And he grew up in Stockton,
He did.
and then he moved to LA and kind of popularized the sport, or not the sport, the martial arts
Right.
through like Hollywood, and because connections to Bruce Lee and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So Arnis, Eskrima, Kali.
I've always known it as Arnis.
Arnis, yeah.
I've always known it as Eskrima.
Because you're Bisayan.
Yeah. And like when one of the pasalubongs that I had requested when my Lola and my aunt had gone to the Philippines was Eskrima sticks. And I call them Eskrima sticks. And my dad actually told me like always keep those in your car.
Yeah.
Like as a safety measure.
Huh.
But I'm always freaked out because like that's technically like having a weapon in your car. But like if I was always told like if a cop ever pulls you over, just tell them it's like cultural martial arts,
Right.
Because it's that's what it is, and so I can't be. It's not a gun or anything, So I'm just like, it's just cultural. It's like because it's like a baton, and technically batons are illegal in
Really?
in LA. Like you can't have like a retractable baton. That's illegal.
Or nunchucks.
Or nunchucks, you can't have that either. But it's Eskrima sticks because it's cultural. You can like there's like a workaround or something.
And the thing is, most law enforcement agencies, if not all of them, know what Filipino martial arts is. That most of them train in it now. So if you were to get pulled over, and you're like, hey, I have a bag full of I train in Filipino martial arts. I have a gear bag with sticks and training daggers. They're not gonna trip.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Unless
Thanks
it's
for
like
that.
in your lap and you're
No.
But yeah.
Yeah, I just keep them in the like little canvas bag that they came with, and they're just like in my trunk. Yeah.
Arnis. I first learned it as Arnis, and then I learned about the other terms.
Yeah, because my
Is
dad
there
just says Eskrima.
Is there our nephew?
I was waiting for that one. Who's gonna make that
Oh
joke?
my gosh. Good job, Joe.
Our
Good
niece,
job.
our nephew, our uncle, our aunt. Lord Joseph. All right, getting back to this. So historically, if you, I don't know too much about Arnis as the historical background, how it came about. Looking back at Kung Fu, I imagine it's very ancient. There's some movements to it that go back maybe centuries. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about like Arnis or Eskrima and
Filipino martial arts.
Filipino martial arts in general.
Sure. Well, historically speaking, it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly where it came from or when it began. We know for sure that, we had indigenous people living in the Philippines pre-Spanish colonization. We know there were natives that knew how to fight, Magellan, the Moros, but we don't know for sure what type of martial arts they were using at the time, because Filipinos, we don't have any written documents. It's all oral history.
Yeah.
And if you look at how the modern day Moros fight, I mean, they've preserved that. It's very basic, type of sword play, where it's just like Joe will understand, it's just like 1 and 2 and like a stab, and a block with the shield and you cut back.
Yeah.
So it's not as sophisticated as what we know as Filipino martial arts today. So what happened was, you had the Spanish come, and we know for a fact that they used the Visayan warriors as soldiers and mercenaries to fight against the Moros in the south. And so this is where I think it really began. And people can argue, where it began. I mean, can we say that, a Moro warrior or a Visayan warrior pre-Spanish was using Filipino martial arts? Well, yeah, he's Filipino.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. But is it the Filipino martial arts as we know of it as today? So
like the 12 strikes.
Yeah,
and like,
12 strikes?
the 12 strikes and
What's 12
all the
strikes?
I'll get into that. But,
Okay.
and
I'm sure it's
all
not going to lend itself to an audio medium, but I would like to know.
I could get into
Okay,
to
cool.
that. But so we know that they use the these Visayan warriors to fight against the Moros and that kind of thing. So once the Spanish came over, whatever indigenous martial arts they were using got integrated with the European style of sword play, because Spanish sword play, that kind of thing. And a lot of those Jesuit priests, they knew how to fight. I mean, it's not like the modern priests today. The priests of those days, that the colonizers, they went over there knowing how to defend themselves
I
and
would
fight.
imagine you'd
Yeah.
have to. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's like new land and whatnot.
And you're outnumbered.
Right. So that was going on. That developed. They were teaching the warriors a different style of sword fighting, and that kind of grew the art. It's funny. I have an uncle who wrote a history book of the town that we're from, which is in Leyte. It's called Carigara. And in his book, he mentioned the Jesuit priests were there, and every year there were more raids. The town we're from is a coastal town, so most coastal towns in the Visayas region and southern Luzon were frequented every year by Moros with these raids. So the people of the town, they may not have been, warriors, but they learned how to defend themselves. A lot of the Jesuits priests taught them basic fighting, with the sword, with the bolo. And they would have like a defense system in the town, where if Moors were coming, they'd ring the church bell, and all the able-bodied men would come to the forefront and fight. And through that, I think that's where it really started to develop. So you have, common people, guys that are just farmers learning how to fight. And then you have guys that were probably already warriors or in some type of military training at the time that knew how to fight, and then incorporated modern fighting arts into what they already knew. And that's where it began. And then you fast forward to the U.S. occupation, and that changed things even more, because the U.S. still used, these Filipinos to go over there and fight against the Moors. That type of conflict went on.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah.
Once things got, I don't want to say settled down, but things kind of settled down a little bit, where a lot of these warriors, a lot of them had nothing to do, so all they did was train. And then a lot of, the Spanish, maybe even the U.S., they banned the open carry of blades, so they would practice with stick. And then the stick replaced the blade as a practice instrument. And then the stick became its own art because guys were now practicing with the stick, fighting with it.
It's different. You know, it's different than a sword.
If it's different than a
angles.
sword, different way of hitting, different tactics, that kind of thing. And that the stick developed into its own thing. It like went on its own, you know, and you could see that in history, you know, styles like the old, you know, doce pares, you know, they have like the old sword, linear striking style, and then they have the new style of more of sport. So that's what happened. That was pre-World War II-ish, and then World War II came, and then the arts came back into action. So it's always been in use. It's always been battle-proven. And that's really the development. From my understanding, the period of when the United States took over up until World War II, the Philippines, the Visayas region, it was kind of like the Wild West. You know, guys that were known to be good. Let's say you were the best guy in your village. You know, Joe Bernardo, he's the number one. He's the number one guy.
Mong Joe.
Yeah, Mong Joe is the number one guy. Then, you know, Ryan's like, hey, tell that guy Joe in the next town, you know, I got
challenge.
I got some action for him if he thinks he's, you know.
It's like Ip Man.
Yeah. And it's like a family thing. It became like a family system, you know, the Bernardo style versus, you know, that kind of thing.
Bernardo style.
You know, and then that's how it developed because guys would train and they wouldn't show or teach because this is what
It's
we
sacred.
use. Yeah, this is what we do. So don't show because then they'll steal.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So, for the laymen who have never heard of it or just don't know, never taken a class or training, can you kind of just go through what, like, how do you teach martial arts? Like, what is it? Like, what is it? 12 strikes? Like, can you go over that? Can you go over
Or
Curious
like,
with these
or even
12
like the
strikes.
philosophy of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So what separates Filipino martial arts from other weapon-based martial arts styles is the principles that most Filipino martial arts have. They have a set standard of principles. And going back to the question of 12 strikes, so you'll learn a numbering system, right? So some styles have 12 strikes. You know, that's like a basic one. So like if you could imagine, you know, angle 1 is this strike, angle 2 is this strike. So you memorize and learn 12 places to hit on your body. Okay. So then for offense, so you go, okay, Joe, hit me number 1, right? So you just know number 1's coming.
Okay.
And then you learn defense against each strike, right? Like a block and parry against number 1, 2, 3. So the unique thing about Filipino martial arts that separates itself from other martial arts is we don't need to learn a separate system for each weapon, right? So like Japanese or Chinese styles are like, okay, now I'm going to learn the sword. Now I'm going to learn the staff, the spear. And I don't know, I never trained in those martial arts, but from my understanding, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
Well, Filipino martial arts, it doesn't matter. You know, Joe can pick up a baseball bat and I will recognize he's swinging at me with an angle 1 or angle 2, regardless of weapon. He could pick that mic up and swing it at me, and as a Filipino martial artist, I'll pick up the line right away. I'll be like, oh, I'll block it.
So it's all muscle memory in terms of like but the angles. and then you know
Angle
those.
recognition.
So it doesn't matter if it's like a stick, like a rolled up newspaper.
Jario. Yeah.
Chinelas.
Yeah, chinelas.
Like, no, Dad.
Well, it's funny you say that because we actually teach, you know, if you don't have a weapon, you're going to take your shoe off.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that,
for sure.
So if you have kids and then like their parents trying to like discipline them, or they like no, that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Blocked.
So you talked about how here in the United States a lot of people call it Kali. How did Filipino martial arts kind of come to the United States?
Okay. So now we're going back. You know, we know that Filipinos were involved with the, you know, Spanish galleon trades, and we know that there was a community that was even established going back to like the 1700s in Louisiana, right? I think there was like 1,000 Filipinos that settled in that town. I forgot the name of it.
Saint Malo.
Saint Malo. I mean, I guarantee you half of those guys knew some type of Filipino martial art. You know, we know that the Spanish on all those galleons, the Spanish had about 80% Filipinos on them at any given time, warriors. So if all those guys jump ship, that's a lot of Filipinos. Let's just say half of them knew some type of Filipino martial art. So we could actually technically say Filipino martial arts was the first martial art in the United States. Right? I mean, because that predates, you know, Chinese. So, but okay, so we could say that, and then we could go fast forward when the United States took over the Philippines. It opened up the doorway for people to come here. You know, the immigrants that came to work you know, initially it was in Hawaii, right, to work the sugar cane and the pineapple fields. And on a lot of those ships were some of like the famous Eskrima that we know today were on those ships that came, and they wanted to start a new life and seek fortune in the United States. A lot of them ended up in Stockton, where they're working the asparagus fields, Delano, all through, you know, California. That's like the first stop, and then it spread from there. And that's pre-World War II. You know, that first wave of Filipinos that came, I would say, 1910, 20s, like the early Manongs. So
they didn't have. It's not like they had schools like martial arts schools how they have now.
No.
So it was all passed down through family.
Family.
And so you didn't learn it from your family, right? You just learned it at school,
So for example, you know, going back to Dan Inasano, he was in Stockton. He actually, as a kid, didn't train in martial arts. You know, he wanted to learn karate. Right. And he grew up as an Filipino American, wanting to learn American things, play football, run track and field, basketball, learn karate. It wasn't until he started training that opened the doors to other martial arts and made him realize, hey, you know, there's Filipino martial arts in my own backyard. What's unique about him is his father, Sebastian Inasano, was, I think, the treasurer or secretary treasurer of Stockton, all like the labor
organization,
all the big organization there. So he knew all these guys that were now famous Escrimadors. You know, he knew, you know, Leo Huron and all these guys, the Bahalana group, and I think Leo Huron lived across the street from Dan Inasano, Johnny Lacoste. Like, they're all neighbors. They're all in South Stockton at the time. And I'm sure the Filipino community was very small at the time, so everyone knew each other. And so he was able to train with different Filipino martial arts instructors, which isn't typical, right? Usually you train with one guy. You know, if I'm a student, I train with Master Joe Bernardo, and Joe Bernardo's telling me don't train with anyone else.
Right. Like an apprentice kind of thing.
You're an apprentice, and I'm not allowed to train with anyone, right? Because now it's a rival, right? So, but since Inasano was a son of Sebastian, and all those early Manongs kind of had that debt to Sebastian, like, you know, that utang, like, hey, you know, train my boy kind of thing. So he was able to train with all these guys and learn, you know, a lot of things. So that's what made him unique. And then the fact that he was Bruce Lee's
best friend.
Filipino martial arts instructors were like, hey, you know, I want to train Bruce Lee's boy. You know, I'm training Bruce Lee's friend. You know, you know, so.
Wow.
So, like, you're mentioning Bruce Lee, and obviously he's like a major like Hollywood star, and then it just seems like, I remember when the Bourne Identity movies came out, like, it was a big deal that like Matt Damon was training in Eskrima and like Filipino martial arts. So does like Magda get like, do you get consultants, or like do you get to consult on like films? Like, how does that work? Like, who is training Matt Damon on like Eskrima is my question.
So it goes back to also Dan Inasano. So in the 70s, after the death of Bruce Lee, obviously he opened a school, right? And he was also being approached constantly, probably to do movies or choreography. So he probably started the
The trend?
Filipino, the trend. I mean, he helped choreograph a lot of Bruce Lee's movies. I mean, Bruce Lee was using the nunchucks, the chapel.
Yeah.
That was from Dan Inosanto. Bruce Lee didn't, from my understanding, didn't like the weapon at all. Thought it was lame. And Dan introduced it to him. He played with it, and then he's like, I think this would be pretty cool.
Like, it would look cool in the movie.
Yeah, it would look cool in the movie.
But he was like, yeah, bro, this looks kind of stupid.
Yeah. And, like in Game of Death, Dan Inosanto's in there. He's the stick fighting guy against Bruce. So I think it started with him. And then in the 70s, I want to say late 70s, you had this like wave of guys that started training with Dan. I'm trying to think of his name. Oh, Jeff Yamada. He's a big one. He started training, and he really got into the choreography side of things. And I would say he's the big Jeet Kune Do Filipino martial arts fight choreographer in Hollywood. I mean, he's like the Born Identity guy.
Okay.
He's
just known in the industry.
He's known as the industry.
Like if you're gonna do like a John Wick movie and you want to have that element, you're gonna go to Jeff Yamada.
Yeah. And I think because Jeff's background is in Filipino martial arts and Jeet Kune Do, people that are aspiring to be fight choreographers
will train
Filipino martial arts. So we get guys like that all the time, where they're like super buff and yoked and just in shape, and I'm like, what do you do? They're like, oh, well, I do stunt work. I'm trying to get into fight choreography.
Yeah, because you see it in like films now. Like I mentioned John Wick. Like that's one of my favorite current action movies, like series, and like it's called gun fu, like that's the genre, and it's like you can see the Filipino martial arts elements in it,
right?
And I'm always wondering, like, who's training, like because that whole movie is like a bunch of, it's like basically a stunt coordinators decided to make a movie, and that's why the movie is so insane. Yeah,
John Wick, yeah. You see Filipino martial arts. You see, I know Keanu Reeves trains in jiu-jitsu under, I forgot it. I think it was either Hickson or Horian, one of those guys, one of the big famous Gracies.
Yeah.
And so you could even see his takedowns. He goes into like arm bars and stuff. So he's using jiu-jitsu in his choreography now as well.
Yeah.
So among Filipino Americans, if you had to guesstimate, what percentage of the community knows Filipino martial arts? How much would you? What percentage would you give?
Like in this room, what is the percentage?
Well, I mean, we know the room, but
when you mean among our friends, train it or know it? I think less than 10%.
Less than 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Out of my friends, I have a lot of Filipino friends. I don't know that many that train.
Okay, how many people do you think actually know what it is?
Know what it is? I think the percentage is higher. Right. I mean, I think the new generation, and when I mean new, let's just say 45 and under, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'll throw myself in there.
Yes.
We made it. We made the cut. We pretty much know. I mean, we may not want to train or learn the art, but we've seen it in growing up in, cultural activities in college, right? FPAC. That FPAC brings out the Filipino culture. You may not want to learn it, but you see it on the stage. Like, it's there.
FPAC is the Festival of Philippine Arts and Culture. It happens in Los Angeles. Yes.
Yeah. So,
and I've noticed that a lot of non-Filipinos are attracted to FMA, Filipino Martial Arts. Why do you think? Like, what's the attraction there? You think?
Is it the Bruce Lee tie-in?
I think it has something to do with that. Also, like Dan Inosanto, my instructor Cass Magda, and some of these guys, they've been doing seminars since like 1978 or earlier, and they travel the world, right? I mean, so Dan does seminars all through the United States. So does Sifu Cass and Italy and the UK. And
so when you say seminar, are they just going to like a martial arts studio and then doing like a demo? Like no, it's an open training. So
someone like in another state or another country
we'll invite them.
We'll invite them over and say, "Hey, I want you to do a seminar. We'll pay you money to do it, and I want you to teach your art." Yeah, and then they'll promote it within their school for people to come, so that everyone can make a little money.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah,
but it's still not as popular as like other martial arts that are out there, like karate, kung fu,
Yeah.
taekwondo.
So every time I think of like martial arts, I think of karate, and like me being a kid asking my dad, like, "Hey, like I want to go take karate lessons," like in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And my dad's response was like, "Why do you need to go? Just come here." And then like he would just tell me like punch, and I'm like, "What?" And so I would like pretend to punch my dad, and then he would block them, and then he would be like, "Okay, now I'm gonna do that to you." I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?" And I was supposed to block my dad, and he's like, "There, now you know karate." And I'm like, "No, but okay. Obviously, you're not gonna pay for my karate lessons."
Yeah,
Because Karate Kid, right?
karate. Well, I think that's what it is. I mean, we grew up in the 70s and 80s. Everyone was training and learning karate,
Yeah.
kempo,
Or taekwondo.
kung fu, taekwondo.
Like all the kids in my elementary school did taekwondo. Mike, didn't you do taekwondo when you were a kid?
Yes.
What belt you get up to, Mike?
Yellow.
I don't know
The
what that
second
means.
one.
Oh.
And then I quit.
JC Penny build.
Speaking of belts, is there such kind of like a grade in Filipino martial arts that kind of like levels? I think that's kind of interesting for
Yeah.
for trainers of like.
Like in capoeira, you get like different, like don't you go up
The
in belt,
cords.
the
Yeah.
cords and
Is there
stuff?
something like that in Filipino martial arts? Like
Tra-
once you reach a certain level?
Traditionally, no.
Okay.
So traditionally, you train with an instructor, and he kind of just
Apprentices you.
yeah, you just move along, and he'll say, "Oh, you're good now," you
Yeah.
know, that kind of
That's
thing.
cool.
You're ready. He's like, yeah, right.
Get ready. Now get your circumcision.
Throwback to our circumcision episode.
But I think because the Filipino martial arts that are being trained here in America, they incorporated different schools have incorporated some type of ranking
level.
level or phases. You know, like you're now in beginner phase, an intermediate phase, advanced. You're in the advanced class, that kind of thing. They
Yeah.
might title it something differently, but you know they'll put it. They'll you know.
There's no uniform.
Yeah.
A uniform system of ranking.
Is there
No,
a
no.
uniform? No, there's no like angry white pajamas element to this, right?
You said
No,
angry
there's
white
no-
pajama.
Yeah, like the Asian American Studies book, Angry White
Well-
Pajamas. Sorry.
Funny thing is, you know, Filipino martial arts isn't very popular in the Philippines either, right? It's probably less popular there.
Wow.
Right. And I think it's just because the way it was taught, right? Instructor to student, usually family, very clandestine, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas in the city, Makati, in Manila, growing up, people there want to learn karate and taekwondo and
And, like, jiu-jitsu
and they want
probably
that
now.
prestigiousness that
Imported
like that-
martial arts.
exactly that class, you know,
Yeah.
like that.
No, I totally
Yeah.
get it.
You know, that it's like, oh, my son trains in karate
Yeah.
and he's a black belt now,
Right.
And they have uniforms.
I bet like
know?
now it's like jiu-jitsu because it's,
It's-
like Gracie
yeah.
Studios open
Right.
up everywhere.
I met a couple Filipino guys that came here to train in jiu-jitsu, and they're from the Philippines, and they train in jiu-jitsu.
Because they can say like, "Oh, I'm under blah 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 Gracie."
well,
right?
yeah, the Gracies and other groups have
So yeah,
made their way to the Philippines and opened up Philippines.
Oh, wow.
schools. Gracie Baja, Manila, that kind of thing.
wow.
How about Taibo?
I think Billy Banks or Billy Banks is over there.
Taebo.
One,
That was a thing.
hey man, I bought those tapes.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yes, you did.
it was a good workout,
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
and I thought I could punch people and kick them.
So there's an element of kind of adoration of the foreign in the Philippines for other types of martial arts, but not
Right.
necessarily the ones that are indigenous to the Philippines.
And I think that's, you know, if you look at like the Dos Pares group,
Yeah.
you know, if you look at their old pictures, it's like they're just like in a white T-shirt and like pants, and they're like all sitting there like,
All badass.
yeah, like holding the stick. And then you fast forward, they have like kind of like gi, but it's like cut off, but it looks like a karate gi kind of. And then it has like a pants, like a uniform.
Okay.
Right. And they have like some type of belting system. I don't know it. I don't train in those
Yeah.
Pares, but
But what
it
does Magda
changed. They have we have like a phase system.
Oh, okay.
So
And do you have a uniform?
we don't
Basketball
really,
shorts.
No, that's what I say. When Mike invited me to train last week, and he said, "I go, what do I wear? I don't know." And then he goes, just wear a t-shirt and basketball shorts. There you go.
Well, we have a t-shirt and sweatpants with our logos on it, but since Magda, Dan and Asano, they're JKD type schools, and Bruce Lee was all about liberate yourself from classical martial arts.
What is JKD?
Jeet Kune Do.
Oh,
Jeet Kune Do.
okay,
That's Bruce Lee's martial arts. So that old group was like, we don't need uniforms, man. You know, they're
Screw your patches.
Rebels.
like we could
Yeah,
wear, you know, guys in the original Jeet Kune Do group were wearing work boots and jeans coming straight
So
from
it's a
work.
matter of like freedom and like you don't need to lock into
Liberate
like a
yourself.
system.
Yeah.
I
So
like
Joe can
this.
show up in a brief and a sando.
Wait, I don't think
That's like in a santo? What?
No, sando.
Yeah.
I know, but like briefs and a
Yeah.
sandal, that's it. Wear some shorts. Wear some shorts.
It's not like Kung Fu Panda or something.
Oh my god.
Have you ever used like Filipino martial arts like in a fight?
Funny thing, no, I actually have not.
Joe's
It's-
disappointed.
I know. You know, I started training in late '99, 2000. All my fights, you know, were pre that. I mean, you know, I kind of avoided that situation. But you know, it's
So you got your ass kicked before? Huh?
yeah, pretty much. You know, that's how I found my way. That's the true origins. But you know,
Sheesh, Joe.
it's
You got
funny.
punked by Cobra Kai.
Exactly.
I mean,
Sweep the
it's in the valley. We are in the valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Reseda too.
It's in Reseda.
Yeah. So I've noticed that there's a lot of like videos on YouTube about Filipino martial arts. Like they have like demonstrations or like, hey, you could do this, or just any kind of types of videos that showcases Filipino martial arts. How do you think that has made an impact, like on YouTube? Like, has it made an impact in the your training or the schools?
Yeah. It's good and bad, right? It's good because people who are not familiar with Filipino martial arts can type in Filipino martial arts in YouTube and it'll pull up hundreds of different videos. If you're researching, you know, I want to learn about, you know, this style, you can type it in and lo and behold, there's some guy somewhere teaching it and, you know, there's a video of his seminar or him training in his backyard. So that aspect of it is good. But then the bad aspect is if you don't have any training, you don't know what's good or not, right? So you could pull up a video and go, "Oh, look at this guy! It looks really cool. He's doing all this fancy twirling and stuff," but it might not necessarily be a good representation of the art, and you might be trying to copy that, right, for yourself. And so that's like the good and the bad of YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on there that's not very good, and there are some good things on there as well. And there's a lot of old footage on there as well. That's really good. I mean, you know, you could find old footage of, you know, like some of the old Balintawak guys, you know, Johnny Lacoste, you know, out in Stockton doing a demo on Super 8. Like that kind of stuff is like really cool to see.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I remember watching like a video of how to disarm somebody who has a gun, and I'm like, I'm probably never gonna try this ever in my life.
I'm just gonna walk away.
I mean, there's
I'm gonna turn and run.
there's a lot of extreme things on there. Like guys, you know, you disarm them with the knife and then you take it and you slash their throat and do this. I mean, it's like, you know, why are you showing that on YouTube? You know, like why are you openly showing how to kill people in that manner? You know,
Right. Yeah.
And they're like proud. They're like, yeah, you see,
It's not protection anymore at that point.
Right.
It's just, yeah.
And they're also saying that like, people might do it without the training and they might get killed because of it. You know, because they're
Right.
trying
Oh, totally.
stupid things.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you see that in all martial arts. You know, you see
Okay.
guys, you know, kids in high school that have no martial arts training, but they're doing like stuff you would see in the UFC in their fights, right?
Yeah.
They're like going for the takedown and mounting guys and like ground and pound, and they don't have no training. They just it's all YouTube and watching UFC fights.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I remember when Karate Kid came out, everybody was trying that, like the
do
crane
the
kick.
crane kick. Yes, absolutely.
Wait, that's not a thing?
Do you think Have you seen any kind of spike in popularity of are these folks trying to train in Filipino martial arts in your experiences?
I think it's grown more popular, because of the movies. I think that's made it popular, because the good thing is the movies that come out, the action movies, for the most part, most people enjoy them, right? People enjoy the Bourne series and the John Wicks, and Book of Eli was one where Dan and Asano, I think, did the choreography for that.
Wow, really?
I think I remember seeing a video with Guru Dan and Denzel Washington training, and so that kind of stuff I think draws people to it. And over the years, you see an increase in young students wanting to learn it. I see young kids that are like in high school, Filipino kids. I'm like, hey, how'd you find us? And they're like, oh, I just wanted to learn Filipino martial arts. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Are there a lot of girls that do it, or is
there are a lot of girls that do it. Matter of fact, our school has not just our regular program for everyone, but we also have a women's program.
That's cool.
So
yeah.
That's so cool.
So I know you mentioned it, throughout our conversation, like Balintawak and Doce Pares and Bahala Na and all these different like styles and schools. Why is there so many? Like, is that normal in martial arts, or is it just is it only just for like Filipino
Variety
FMA?
is the spice of life.
Yeah,
I mean, just think of it look how many islands there are, right? Each island's going to have a different guy that knows some type of Filipino martial arts, and he's going to call it his thing, and he's going to have his instructor. And then he's going to say, hey, I'm this style, Edgar Sulete, who he is from my island. He's from Leyte, and unfortunately he passed away, but I would have liked to train and looked at his stuff. So there's like the different regions. Predominantly Visayas has a lot of
Because we're fighters.
I think that's how it developed, right? They're like
That's what my dad would say.
they're at the forefront of the battle. Yeah. They're like the first island you hit on the way. Like the Moros get to those islands first. So they're they've been like battle ready and ready.
Yeah.
They're always on the defense.
Yeah.
My dad likes to say that's the reason why the 45 exists, is because the Moros in World War II, they wouldn't die, so they had to create, like, as they were fighting
That's
them,
Filipino American War.
and the Filipino American War, so they had to create a 45 caliber gun to kill them. So I'm just like, oh, our people are just they're fighters.
Fighting blood.
Yeah.
Pacquiao was Visayan.
Yeah. Let's not talk about him though.
That's true. Yeah. Speaking of Pacquiao, I heard that a lot of FMA practitioners kind of harbor a lot of machismo. Like, it's a very kind of macho thing to learn Filipino martial arts. And there's a lot of kind of hyper masculinity
Isn't
involved.
that with most martial arts?
True.
Though? Like,
Yeah. I think it's because it's just a fighting art first and foremost. Like you said, there's a lot of styles, and if you go back to, pre-World War II, post-World War II, even in those groups, you go to like the groups like in Stockton and Hawaii, you have a blend of guys from different backgrounds, right? You might have a guy that's Visayan, you might have a guy from Luzon there, right? Or it could be, I'm from Cebu, you're from Bohol, and the Bohol style's better, right? That kind of attitude.
of course they would say that, yeah.
Right? Or the Cebuano style's better. So what ends up happening? They end up having a death match, a stick fighting match because of that. And I think that's carried on through the generations. I mean, of course, living in the United States, we're a little bit more, kumbaya here with all the different martial arts instructors. I mean, pretty much everyone
knows each other.
They've always known each other, right? Because it's small. But even more so now, people, I think, are just getting along overall. I mean, there's always going to be the guy that's like, hey, he sucks, don't train with him. But but I mean, for the most part, you go to FPAC and, you see a gathering of at least the LA Filipino martial arts community there, all the different guys that all know each other. Everyone invites each other to, there's schools to either train or come to, if there's like a anniversary or something, like everyone pretty much gets along. So.
Is there an effort to kind of create like some kind of federation or something, Filipino martial arts?
There has been. I think Dulce Pars initially put it together, like WECAF, World Eskrima Collyer. I'd have to look it up. I don't know. I mean, some schools don't abide to that because that's more of a sport. It's like the rules for their style of contact sport fighting, like what type of armor you should wear, that kind of like WECAF gear, that kind of stuff. So there has been in the past, but some instructors are like, I don't want to follow that, or
it's like not my prerogative.
Yeah, or we don't fight. We don't train to fight in sport. We train for the death. For real life.
I
mean, so there's different schools of thought.
Yeah.
Some schools they train for self-defense first and foremost, and then they have guys, like group of guys that train to do the sport, enter tournaments and stuff.
Have you ever entered to play?
I haven't.
No, not a tournament. Huh. Okay.
Oh, I kind of want to watch like a Filipino martial arts tournament. I want to see like the Filipino martial arts version of Cobra Kai. And then I want to see like the Filipino martial arts version of
Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi.
The Pinoy Danny LaRusso.
Yeah. I want to see the Filipino version of the crane kick.
I've also heard that like a lot of the dances, like Filipino cultural dances, have elements of Filipino martial arts in it. Is that true, or is it kind of just like a urban legend? Like people kind of make that into a legend?
Yeah, from my research, there are Filipino dances that have Filipino martial arts in it. Obviously, in the South, if you guys didn't know, in the South they practice silat or kuntao, right? So there's a dance called the flower dance. It's called kambangan, and that dance does silat, and it hides the fighting moves within the dance. Oh. So it's called, they call it the flower dance, but in it you could see the art, right? But that's practiced in the South. But that's a Filipino martial arts dance. And then during festivals or celebrations and circumcisions, maybe they'll have a big party, and they'll play Filipino gong instruments, and they'll have guys will go up and take turns doing their kambangan, their expression of it. And then there's also what we call the carenza, which is basically like, depending on who you train with or where you train, it's like a solo routine. It could be a set pattern or a set style. Some schools you just do what you want. It's like freestyle, right?
Yeah,
it's like freestyle.
I'm watching
with the windmill.
Yeah.
I'm watching these videos right now, and it's totally people like, it just looks like martial arts, so I couldn't see if it's a dance.
So like, how about like the popular one, like Tinikling?
Yeah, Tinikling. I think Tinikling mimics a bird. Yeah, like a bird's footsteps. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I know a lot of folk dances, or a lot of it comes from the Spanish influence already. You could just tell by how they dress, right? They're not wearing like malongs or anything. They're wearing like the Spanish dresses and stuff. Yeah,
and a big shoulder, butterfly shoulder.
Because I've heard like Pandango sa Ilaw, you use your wrist, and it's kind of like it has some kind of movements that are martial. I don't know. I've heard that, but I'm not sure how true that is. That
movement you did could easily be an expression from kambangan, like that kind of.
Yeah.
Like that could be like a block, or that could be like someone grabs your wrists. That's like a wrist.
I always thought like the Muslim dance suite. If we're talking about PCN, like the Muslim dance suite, like the movements that you would use there felt like martial art. Like when you're doing the fan dance, because they're like the way you strike with your fan, it feels like you could have used that with the Eskrima stick.
Right.
And then there's like a prince who like waves around a giant like sword. So I
Yeah.
okay.
Joe is dancing right now.
There's a lot of movements happening.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, I'm just gonna like.
Is sway balance?
No.
Joe's gonna have his own school. It's gonna be martial arts. It's like line dancing and sticks.
Oh my god.
13 strikes. The 13th strike is circumcision.
Gross.
Snip,
Oh,
snip.
sorry. Throwback to a circumcision episode.
So is Filipino martial arts? Is it hard to learn?
I mean, just like anything you pick up, you have to start getting used to the movement, and it takes some coordination. But you could be young and old. It's not hard to learn like the basic stuff. Now, are you trying to become like, grand champion of the Philippines?
Yeah.
That's a little hard, different. But
Yeah.
but I think to learn it for self-defense and to learn
The basics, yeah.
basics and know a little bit about your culture, it's not hard to learn. It's just learning the 12. You're going to start off learning the 12 strikes or your 12
Yeah.
angles or whatever numbering system. It might not be 12. Some numbering systems, they just have 5 maybe. So,
Yeah.
but you'll learn that, and you'll pick up the stick, and the more you pick up the stick, just like anything else, you become good at it. It's like, like basketball, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just start shooting, and now you can shoot. Same thing.
Except Lonzo Ball, I can't really shoot.
Yeah. That's another story.
So if I'm, if I want to learn how to do Filipino martial arts, where can I learn it?
There's a lot of places. I mean, here in the Valley, Magda Institute where I train.
Yeah.
In the West Side.
Do you have a website at Magda Institute?
Sure, it's www.magdainstitute.com.
Cool.
And you could just look them up, like whatever city you're in and stuff like that. Right?
I mean, if you did a Google search for Collyer, Eskrima, Arnis, it'll probably pull up a listing. And then if you did a Google, and usually most schools, they'll have like a listing of instructors in your area. Like, so let's say I wanted to learn Doce Pares, there'll be like a Doce Pares group in LA that you can train with, a Balintawak group. Everyone has instructors everywhere.
Yeah.
You just have to you have to just research it.
Okay.
In LA, we happen to, be kind of like
We're lucky.
the Mecca.
Yeah.
Right? It's California.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like in the middle of Nebraska or something, it might be a little
Difficult.
harder to find.
I guess that's where
somebody.
you go to YouTube and just try and
Yeah.
learn that way, right?
Yeah, because there's like people who teach them like to train like all over, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I mean, you'll be surprised if you look it up. You'll like find, instructors in Texas and Minnesota. I mean, it's
Minnesota.
it's everywhere. Yeah. Canada.
nice. So where can people find you?
You can find me at the Magda Institute.
In Reseda, right?
Yeah, in Reseda.
Yeah. Did you mention your website? Sorry. You did your website. Okay.
Yeah. We'll put it on the blog post.
Yes. Well, thank you for
This was
coming
awesome.
here. This is
Thank
very,
you.
very
And now I want to
educational.
know the 12 strikes.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn that one. I'm going to Google it right now. And then
Go to Magda.
Joe's going to break out his sticks right now.
No.
we're going to break this house.
Whatever, dude. Great. So, do you have any plugs or any kind of shout outs you want to give?
Just, shout out to all the LA community is good with Filipino martial arts, the culture. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Appreciate giving this platform. I'm by no means an expert in Filipino martial arts. I just enjoy training.
Why do we bring you here then?
I just enjoy training.
Wait a minute. He's a yellow belt?
What's happening?
But yeah, there's a lot of groups out there. Shout out to everyone out there, all the guys that, people at the Magda Institute and
Yeah.
Asano Academy,
I think technically this is the second person who's a Filipino martial artist on the show.
Yeah, we
'Cause
had Gary.
right?
Yeah, Gary Gabisan from Doce Pares.
He's in Doce Pares.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Sorry, one last question. I totally forgot to ask, but are you gonna train your kids in it?
my kids are already training.
Oh, cool. cool.
But they use a lightsaber. No, but my kids train. We have a kids program, so as early as 4 years old, or
Wow.
4 or 5 in that age, you could come to our school
train.
and start training. They'll learn Collie. They'll learn, a lot of, at that age, you're not, handing them knives and stuff.
Right.
You're teaching them verbal self-defense. But yeah, it's all.
Do they
it's
get
there.
like confident? Do you see them like come out like if you're like a shy little kid and then you're
Oh yeah,
That's cool.
you'll see a lot of parents bring their kids to learn martial arts, regardless of the style,
Yeah.
because they're either being bullied or they're
Yeah.
shy or timid, and they just want to instill a little bit more,
Self-confidence
So, yeah, there is
and-
self-confidence in it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This Filipino American Life is produced by Michael Nailat. Our intro and outro music is by Roger Habon, aka 10.4 Raj. Resident reality checker Girly Colado, legal advisor Rianne Fajardo, and graphic design by Vincent Collyer.